Do you ever catch yourself thinking, is he into me or am I just imagining it? Here's the thing. Most guys won't come right out and say it, but their actions, they tell you everything, especially the way they touch you. It's not always obvious, but if you know what to look for, the signs are so clear. In this video, we're breaking down the 5 key places a man will touch you when he's really attracted. And once you spot these, you'll never be left guessing again. When a man is attracted to a woman, one of the most instinctive and natural ways he expresses that attraction is through touch. It's important to understand that this kind of touch isn't always bold or clearly romantic. In fact, it's usually quite subtle. Most men won't jump straight into intimate gestures. Instead, they will use small, calculated touches to test the waters and gauge how comfortable the woman feels. These gestures are often brief and seem casual on the surface, but they are almost always intentional. They're not just about physical contact. They're a form of communication that speaks volumes without saying a single word. Touch is a powerful tool in human connection. It allows someone to express interest, admiration, or even affection without having to openly say it. For many men, especially those who are a bit more reserved, touching a woman's arm during a laugh, brushing against her shoulder as they walk past, or playfully nudging her during a conversation becomes their way of establishing a deeper connection. These small physical cues allow him to express his attraction in a way that feels safe and socially acceptable. It's a way to be close without overstepping any boundaries. Often, the first signs of physical attraction start with proximity. A man who is interested in you will try to reduce the physical distance between the two of you. He may lean in slightly when you're talking, stand a little closer than normal, or face his body toward you more directly. From there, touch usually follows, but again, it starts small. He might offer a high five that lingers slightly longer than necessary. Maybe he puts his hand gently on your back as he guides you through a crowded room. Perhaps he brushes something off your shoulder or playfully taps your hand during a joke. These gestures are rarely random. They are soft tests. He's trying to see how you react. Do you pull away? Do you smile? Do you seem receptive? Your reaction gives him valuable feedback. Touch, when it's subtle and respectful, allows a man to create intimacy without making either person uncomfortable. It's not about being aggressive or forward, it's about showing that he's paying attention, that he wants to be close, and that he's emotionally tuned in. Often this kind of touch is accompanied by other signs: longer eye contact, smiling, leaning in during conversations. But the touch itself becomes a clear indicator. It communicates things like, I feel connected to you, or I enjoy being close to you, without needing to say those things out loud. These touches also tend to occur during emotionally high moments, laughter, shared stories, or moments of excitement. For example, if a woman tells a funny story and the man reaches out to touch her arm while laughing, that's not just a reaction to humor, that's a layered action. On the surface, it's about the joke, but underneath it's about seizing the moment to build closeness. He's letting his guard down and using the emotional openness of the moment to form a more physical bond. Touch can also be a way for a man to demonstrate attentiveness and care. If he notices you're cold and offers his jacket, if he helps you up with a light hand on your back, if he places his hand on yours when you're sharing something emotional, these are all moments where attraction and empathy intersect. He's saying, I see you, I care about how you feel, I want to make sure you're okay. That emotional layer, expressed through physical touch, is a strong indicator that his attraction goes deeper than just the surface. Understanding these small touches can be incredibly helpful when trying to read someone's interest. They often fly under the radar because they're so natural and understated, But when you start to notice them, and especially when you see them paired with other signs like focused attention and consistent engagement, they become much clearer. They're not random. They're a man's way of saying, I'm drawn to you, without needing to spell it out. He may not be ready to say it outright, but his body speaks for him, and touch is often the very first language it uses. When a man is attracted to a woman, one of the ways that attraction shows itself is in how comfortable he feels getting physically close to her, and how much he wants to. Touch in this case becomes more than just a simple gesture. It becomes a reflection of both his emotional comfort with her and his desire to create a stronger bond. The way he reaches out, the moments he chooses to initiate contact, and even the parts of her body he chooses to touch, all carry meaning. These aren't usually grand or obvious gestures. They're often small, respectful touches that build gradually as his confidence and interest deepen. But make no mistake, when a man is drawn to someone, the urge to close that physical gap becomes very real, and touch becomes a way to do it without words. The desire to touch someone often comes from a place of emotional connection. When a man feels safe around a woman, when he enjoys her company, and when he feels drawn to her energy, he naturally wants to be closer to her. This is basic human instinct. We're wired to seek closeness with people who make us feel good. And physical touch is one of the most natural forms of connection. It's not just about attraction in the romantic or physical sense. It's also about emotional warmth. A man who feels both emotionally connected and physically attracted will find subtle ways to let that connection show through physical contact. There's an important distinction to make here, though. A man who's only physically attracted may skip the subtleties and go for more forward or aggressive gestures. But a man who feels both emotional comfort and genuine desire will usually go the slower, more meaningful route. His touches are softer, more intentional. They may not even feel like flirting at first, but what they really show is that he feels comfortable enough around you to let his guard down a bit, to take a small risk, and to invite you into a shared moment. For instance, during a conversation, he might lightly touch your arm when emphasizing a point, or give a reassuring pat on the back in a supportive moment. These touches are signals of trust and connection. He's letting you into his physical space because he feels safe doing so. The key factor here is comfort. Touch, in this context, is not forced. It's not about control or dominance. It's about sharing energy in a way that feels natural. A man who feels comfortable with you doesn't hesitate to lean in closer when talking, to brush against you as he walks by, or to rest his hand on your shoulder during a moment of laughter. These aren't aggressive moves. They're gentle signs of someone who enjoys being near you and wants to feel a little closer. And the fact that he does it without hesitation, or that he does it with a calm, steady presence, shows that this isn't just about chemistry. It's about connection. There's also a feedback loop involved in this kind of touch. When a man reaches out to touch a woman in a respectful, light-hearted way, he's not only expressing comfort, he's also testing to see if that comfort is mutual. Your response tells him a lot. If you pull away or seem uncomfortable, he'll usually take that as a sign to pull back. But if you lean in, smile, or touch him back, it gives him the confidence to deepen the connection. In this way, touch becomes a dance. It's not one-sided. It's an unspoken conversation where both people are feeling each other out, not just emotionally, but physically as well. Another key part of this is the progression of touch. When a man is both comfortable with you and attracted to you, his touches might start small, like a tap on the hand or a brief brush of your arm, and gradually become more intentional. He may go from light, passing touches to touches that linger slightly longer, or that involve more emotionally meaningful areas, like the small of your back or your hands. Each step is an indication that he's feeling more secure in your presence and more invested in the connection. He doesn't rush it. Instead, he moves forward in sync with how the relationship or the moment is evolving. What's often overlooked is how touch reveals vulnerability. A man who allows himself to get physically close is also showing a softer side. He's saying, without words, that he trusts you enough to let his guard down. That level of openness doesn't come easily for everyone, especially for men who are careful about expressing their feelings. But when it does happen, and it's done through strong, meaningful touch, it becomes a strong sign of real, emotional, and physical interest. When a man is attracted to a woman, the specific areas he chooses to touch can reveal a great deal about the kind of connection he is trying to build. Not all touch carries the same meaning, and different zones of the body communicate different levels of intimacy, comfort, and intention. These touches are rarely accidental. Even when they seem casual or spontaneous, they're often driven by deeper emotional signals that he may not even consciously realize. The way he interacts physically is a subtle but powerful form of communication, and when you pay attention to where the touch happens, it can give you real insight into what he feels. One of the most telling areas is the hand. When a man reaches for your hand, whether to hold it, briefly touch it during conversation, or help you step out of a car or across a street, he's signaling a desire for closeness. The hands are incredibly sensitive, both physically and emotionally. A man who initiates contact with your hand is often looking for a way to create connection that feels personal but not overwhelming. Hand-holding is traditionally associated with romantic relationships, so even small touches in that area hint at affection. If he lingers when your fingers touch, or takes the opportunity to brush his hand against yours in a quiet moment, that's his way of saying, I feel something here. Another common area of touch is the arm, especially the forearm or upper arm. This is often where a man will make contact when he's testing emotional closeness in a more social setting. A tap on the arm during a laugh, a light grip when he's making a point, or a gentle brush as he walks by. These are all signs that he's trying to connect while still being respectful of boundaries. The arm is considered a neutral zone in many cultures, which means touching it doesn't come across as overly intimate, but it still provides a meaningful physical link. It also allows him to gauge your reaction. If you respond positively, smile, or even touch back, that feedback encourages him to deepen the connection further. Touching the back, particularly the lower back or the small of the back, is another significant indicator of attraction, but it comes with more emotional weight. This kind of touch often signals protection, support, and a deeper level of interest. A man might gently place his hand on your back to guide you through a crowded space, or during a moment when you're walking together. While it may seem subtle, it's one of the most telling gestures. The back is a more private area, and touching it reflects a sense of responsibility or care. It also communicates that he's aware of your presence and wants to be physically attuned to you. These are not random moves. They're often subconscious ways of saying, I've got you, or I want to be close to you in a way that feels natural. The shoulder is another area where men express attraction, though it often comes across as playful or supportive. A quick squeeze of the shoulder, a pat during a joke, or a light touch when sharing something serious, these are signals of connection. While the shoulder doesn't carry the same emotional charge as the hand or back, it still represents a kind of closeness. A man may use this touch when he wants to be reassuring, offer support, or create a casual but meaningful connection. It often happens in group settings, where he wants to single you out without drawing too much attention. Lastly, the face is one of the most intimate places a man can touch, and it rarely happens early in a connection. If he brushes your hair away from your face, touches your cheek, or rests his hand gently near your jaw, these are powerful signs of affection. Touching the face crosses into very personal territory, and a man typically only does this when he feels a strong emotional bond. This kind of contact says, "I'm fully present with you," and often comes during quiet, emotional moments when the connection is deepening significantly. Each of these touch zones, hands, arms, back, shoulders, and face, carry a specific emotional weight. They're not just physical gestures, they're messages. Understanding where a man chooses to touch you and in what context can tell you a great deal about the kind of relationship he's interested in building, whether it's playfulness, protection, closeness, or affection. His hands often speak the feelings his words haven't yet expressed. Attraction is rarely loud or obvious in its earliest stages. Often it's the smallest moments that reveal the deepest feelings, especially when it comes to physical touch. When a man is attracted to a woman, he tends to find reasons to initiate contact during moments of connection, laughter, or genuine interaction. These touches might not seem romantic at first glance. They can come off as casual or spontaneous, but there is usually more happening beneath the surface. The context and timing of when he chooses to touch you often matter more than the touch itself. These small gestures are often his way of bridging emotional intimacy with physical closeness. A man who's attracted to you doesn't need an excuse to touch you, but he'll often wait for the right moment, one that feels natural and comfortable. That's why you'll notice these touches happening in emotionally elevated moments, during laughter, during storytelling, or while you're sharing something vulnerable. He'll find ways to physically connect. He may nudge you gently when you tease him, tap your arm during a joke, or lightly touch your back when guiding you through a doorway. These touches blend into the moment, almost like background noise, but they are not random. They're timed perfectly with the rhythm of the interaction so that they feel organic and welcome. That careful timing is part of what makes them so meaningful. When a man is truly interested, he pays attention to emotional cues. He watches how you respond to his words, his presence, and his movements. He doesn't touch just for the sake of it. He chooses moments when you're both engaged, relaxed, and open. If you're laughing at something together and he reaches over to touch your hand or arm, it's not just because the joke was funny, it's because laughter lowers defenses and builds connection. That moment becomes a safe space to reach out. The context creates an opportunity to deepen the bond through touch. And if you're receptive, that touch becomes a shared emotional experience. These gestures are usually brief and socially acceptable. A man who's respectful and genuinely interested won't force physical contact or touch in moments that feel tense or uncertain. Instead, he'll wait for a moment when you're both emotionally aligned. For instance, if you're telling a personal story and he places a reassuring hand on your shoulder, that's him responding to the emotional weight of the conversation. He's not using touch as a tactic. He's using it as a way to say, "I'm here. I feel what you're feeling." It's a form of empathy that happens without needing to say anything at all. The timing of the touch becomes as important as the touch itself. What makes these moments so powerful is that they aren't scripted. They're not part of a routine or a plan. They emerge naturally from the energy between two people. That's why they feel so genuine. A man who truly likes you isn't calculating every move, but he is aware. He senses when you're relaxed, when you're enjoying yourself, when your guard is down. And those are the moments he leans into. His touch isn't about claiming you or making a bold move. It's about participating in the moment with you, enhancing it, and seeing how you respond to the closeness. There's also something very revealing about how he behaves after these touches. Does he pull back quickly and change the subject? Or does he linger just a little, watching your reaction? maybe smiling as if he's glad to have shared that moment with you. That lingering presence, physical or emotional, is often a clue that the touch meant something more than just a casual gesture. It shows he's not only present in the moment, but also interested in seeing where things could go. He wants to know if you felt that spark too. Another aspect of context and timing is how consistent the behavior is. If it happens only once, it could be coincidence. But if you begin to notice a pattern, touches that come during times of laughter, shared stories, or emotionally open conversations, then it becomes clearer. This isn't about chance. It's about a man using the natural flow of your interactions to build closeness, moment by moment. He respects the boundaries, but he also looks for the right opportunities to move a little closer. This subtle pattern, these well-timed, emotionally tuned touches, create a slow and steady foundation for deeper intimacy. It's not forced. It's not rushed, it's driven by mutual connection and emotional awareness. A man who waits for the right moment to touch is showing more than just patience. He's showing a deep understanding of how attraction works when it's rooted in genuine connection. When it comes to understanding a man's attraction, body language often reveals far more than his words ever will. Among all the nonverbal cues, physical touch combined with other forms of body language, like eye contact, posture, and tone of voice, creates a complete picture of how he feels. These elements don't exist in isolation, they work together, reinforcing each other and giving you a much clearer signal than you might get from his spoken words alone. A man might say he's just being friendly, but if his body consistently tells a different story, it's worth paying attention. One of the strongest indicators of attraction is when a man touches you while also locking eyes with you. Eye contact is incredibly intimate. It's one thing to casually brush someone's arm, but when that touch is paired with a moment of sustained eye contact, it adds depth. That look he gives you during the touch says he's emotionally invested in the interaction. He's not just touching you out of habit or politeness. He's emotionally connected in that moment. The eyes often give away feelings that a man might not be ready to verbalize, and when his gaze softens or lingers while his hand makes contact, that's a strong, unspoken message of attraction. Posture is another layer in this unspoken language. A man who is interested in you won't lean away or keep his arms crossed in a protective stance. Instead, his body will naturally angle toward you. Even if he's not consciously aware of it, his torso will face you. His feet will point in your direction, and he'll lean in when you speak. These signals show a willingness to connect, to be open, and to make space for your presence. If he touches you and his posture stays relaxed and engaged, it's a clear sign that he's comfortable being close to you and wants to maintain that closeness. It's not just about where his hands go, it's about how the rest of his body behaves during and after that contact. Tone of voice also adds a powerful layer to how touch is perceived. When a man's voice softens or slows down while he's touching you, it suggests he's trying to create a more intimate atmosphere. He may lower his voice to draw you in, to make the conversation feel more personal, or to show that he's not in a rush. When a touch happens alongside this softer tone, it creates a moment that feels different from the rest of the interaction. It becomes a quiet space where emotional and physical closeness can build. These are not accidental combinations. A man who feels something for you may not even realize how his tone, his touch, and his gaze all shift when he's around you. They just do, because he's emotionally engaged. Another way body language amplifies the meaning of touch is through facial expressions. A man who's attracted to you will often have subtle but noticeable changes in his face when he's near you. His eyes might widen slightly, his eyebrows may lift, or a gentle smile may form when he touches you. These micro expressions add emotional context to physical gestures. If his face lights up when you walk into a room, or his smile lingers when he makes contact, it's not just a random reaction. It's a visible sign that being around you affects him on an emotional level. That kind of expression can say more than any compliment. Physical touch, when paired with these other non-verbal cues, becomes a complete emotional message. It's not just about a hand on your back or a light brush of your arm. It's about how those touches are delivered, how his eyes meet yours, how his voice carries warmth, how his posture opens up, and how his face reflects what he's feeling inside. Each of these elements on their own might not seem like much, but when they happen together, especially consistently, they create a language of attraction that's hard to ignore. A man who is truly drawn to you doesn't need to speak it aloud. His body, his eyes, and his gestures already say what he's feeling, louder than words ever could. Attraction isn't always loud, and it rarely announces itself with grand gestures. More often it shows up in subtle, intentional touches, a hand brushing yours, a gentle guide through a doorway, a reassuring pat during laughter. These moments might seem small, but they're packed with meaning, especially when paired with body language that speaks volumes. When a man is truly drawn to you, he doesn't just say it, he shows it in how he moves, how he looks at you, and how he reaches out. From the comfort he feels in your presence to the timing and context of his touch, every gesture becomes a quiet confession of how deeply he's paying attention. Understanding these signs isn't about overanalyzing, it's about noticing the quiet ways someone reveals their feelings before they ever say a word. Because when it comes to real attraction, it's not just what he touches, it's how, when, and why that truly tells the story.